Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the fourth of our 6-week health and wellness webinars from the Aviation SkillNet. And today our presenters are once again high performance and executive coaches Jason Kenny and Declan Dore from KD Corporate Wellness. For those of you who haven't joined us before, Jason is a fitness and nutrition specialist, sports psychology coach, and has a degree in training and education. He's an active competitor, having represented Ireland abroad, winning several world, European, and Irish titles. He's also a martial arts instructor with over 30 years' experience. Declan is an inspirational trainer and executive coach. Having recovered from a life-threatening brain injury where he was told he would possibly never walk, talk, or even get the use of his face back again, Declan now teaches tools for mental wellness to survive and thrive in both your personal and professional lives. Today's topic area is nutrition, and Jason and Declan will guide us through why, what, and how we should eat to fuel our bodies so that we can perform at optimum levels. The ground rules for today: Jason and Declan will present for approximately 20 minutes, followed by a 10-minute Q&A. There might be more questions today, I imagine, than other weeks, so the lads might be able to stay on for a little bit longer. Everyone is muted, but we really do encourage you to submit any questions or comments via the chat function. If you hover over your screen, you should see that function pop up, and we'll call these out at the end of the presentation. And without further ado, I'll hand you over to the trusted hands of KD Corporate Wellness.
Fantastic. I think before we kick off, Owen, it might be good just to maybe start today's webinar with a poll, a very quick one. It's basically yes or no, and we can see what people answer, if that's okay.
Excellent. That should appear now.
So the question is, have you ever tried a diet before? So have you ever tried any type of program, or could have been an online program, it could have been a book you read, it could have been something that you saw on TV or YouTube or something. Have you ever actually tried a diet before?
There's probably going to be very few surprises in the response for this one.
Yeah.
One or two more coming in. Okay, so I'll end the poll now and share it with you.
No, interesting. Yeah, not at all surprising. Yeah, so 77% and versus 23%. So some people haven't tried a diet before, which I'd be very curious to find out. Because most people at some stage or another are kind of conscientious of their health and so on and so forth. So yeah, interesting one. Very good. So I suppose today's talk really is all about health and nutrition. And I suppose the keys to success for anything here, what we do, is to stop, I suppose, calling it a diet. Hence the line through the word diet. I suppose the problem is with it, and we find an awful lot with clients, is that the minute you mention the word diet, people have an association with a start and an end. So there's a start and a finish to this. And the problem is with that is that we then fix it in our brain subconsciously, and we get to a certain point, and then when we get to that point, we overindulge. And this is where I feel, and I know Declan shares my sentiments on it as well, is that if you start looking at it from a whole diet point of view, then straight away you're going to cut that off. So looking at the poll, I suppose it's something that's really obvious that a lot of people would have tried it. Given that, as we said, the current circumstances we're living in with COVID-19, most people and clients have literally gone through the roof in terms of what can I do to eat. You know, it's the hardest part really is the ratio between one and another, between calorie in versus calorie out, and the fact that we're not moving as much because we're not getting out and about like we were. So all diets, all healthy lifestyles, all plans that you have to move and change according to you and your lifestyle. So this is a very interesting one. So I think, do you want to put in just the second poll there, or maybe just
sure,
just to see?
No.
Yeah, so
appear on your screen?
I've tried a diet, was it successful? So whoever the percentage was there that actually tried a diet, were you successful with the diet? And you know, what happened with your success? Did you follow it? Did you follow through? Did you take the steps? Was there an actual program for your diet, or did you just pick something off the web and just try it? So
This is quite interesting, actually. I'll share the result and let you interpret it.
very good.
So 52% successful and 48% no. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. It's kind of almost half and half, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a very interesting one. Yeah, you know what? I think, is it sustainable though? You know, if it was successful, the next question I would ask to people is, were you able to sustain it? And are you continuing with it? And are you exactly where you were? And for what reason did you start your diet, I suppose, in the first place? So I think about those questions in your own mind for a few minutes. Okay, so just to move on from it briefly, one of the things that I'm known for saying is that you're really only satisfying 4 inches. And you can look at it whatever way you want, but what it actually means is really you're from this part of your mouth to here. The minute you put the food in and it goes down, it's hands-free. Okay? It just goes in and that's it. It's done. You don't know, you can't see what's happening. Yeah, you feel whatever a little bit fuller, but once you put it into your mouth, that's it. So the part that you have to avoid, I suppose, doing is putting it past your mouth and putting it in. So every time you decide to put something to your mouth, and this is like these 2 images are here, you have to decide that. And you have to make a decision for yourself. Am I building myself up or am I tearing myself down? Okay, so if I put this into my mouth, is this going to benefit me? Or if I put the apple into my mouth, is it going to benefit me? Now, these are just 2 items. It can be anything in relation to that. But it's one of the questions I'll always ask myself. If I feel myself getting off track, I'll ask myself, what is this? What's the benefit of this? What am I getting out of this today? And can I stop if I have to stop moving forward?
That donut does look good, though. Fairness.
Yeah.
So eating whole food is very important. So you should aim to consume whole foods at least 80 to 90% of the time. And the term whole foods generally describes natural, unprocessed foods containing only one ingredient. I know for me, as I started to learn more about nutrition, I really started to learn about, especially when it comes to reading the ingredients on the packages. And that's something that I think is very, very important as you look at your package. Whatever is the first ingredient on the line, that's what is the most inside in that food. So when I started to learn about this, I started to look at my packaging and I started to realize I was picking up a lot of stuff that had sugar as the first ingredient. And unfortunately, sugar is laced in so many different food products out there now in the marketplace. And it's something that's very, very important. I know when it comes to food labeling, that's something you talk about a lot.
Yeah, you'll find an awful lot of it. It's education really around all of this. It's not really so much having to learn stuff off in terms of I need to have this amount of grams or this amount of calories. It's really just being a bit clever with how you operate your food, where you can slot it in and you can have a nice little balance there. The problem is with a lot of this stuff is it's the ingredients and what's in them, the stuff is hidden. So it's designed to be addictive. I mean, when you look at the studies and the things out there, they use MRIs as an example, and they put people into MRI. So if you have an MRI image in your head, you're going in there because of something medically wrong or something you need to investigate. But if you look at the MRI, what the food companies are doing is they're feeding people with certain types of foods. They're putting them into the MRI to check to see how they can add more additives to make it more addictive to them. So they're watching brain activity in people. I just find that fascinating. But like when you look at the trans fats that are in foods, just 1 gram of trans fat increases your heart attack and stroke by 20%. Just 1 gram. When you think about a chicken nugget, it has 4 to 5 grams. And chips, if you're loaded up the chips and so on and so forth, or French fries, whatever you want to call them, you're looking at another plate, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 grams of trans fats. And what do? We feed them to our kids. That's the first thing you get is chicken nuggets and chips. So we've got to the point where we're, for the first time in history, children or the parents will outlive their children because of the fact that I think is it just kids under the age of 12 have now shown heart conditions that were never shown before until later on in life. And 1 in 4 kids have mature onset diabetes coming up in their lives, which again was something because obviously hence the name mature onset diabetes was only seen in adults late in life. But because of the addictive nature of foods and because of all the additives in the foods, like Declan was saying, the whole foods is so important, and reading the label and knowing what's in that label is, again, look, the problem with this is this conversation on nutrition is such a powerful topic that it could go on for hours in conversation alone. Just try to cover as much as we can with this today.
And if you can stick with us till the end, we have something that we're going to give away to you that you can actually follow, and an actual process when it comes to actual nutrition and certain types of really good foods that you wouldn't think when you add them together, they turn out to be something really, really tasty and healthy.
Yeah. So I suppose the key to success for anything is preparation. You can see my counter there is a little bit jam-packed, but that's foods that you cook in bulk, you get yourself organised, and you can have ready for the week. Owen was just talking to the start with us there, for anyone who hadn't heard, we were just talking about planning and preparing. It is key because it stops you going to the cupboard and pulling stuff out. And I know that's the first thing I do when I'm getting myself organised and getting ready for competitions and things like that. The first thing I do is, right, my whole environment needs to change. I need to recruit my family members. I need to get everyone on board. I need to let them know what I'm doing. And I need to try and do it myself. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to get involved, but it certainly means that you just need to clean that space so you're ready to rock. Once you have the food and the stuff in front of you, you will naturally grab it. If you go long extended periods of time without it, you start to go hungry, and then you don't know what to do because you've been caught in meetings or you're running and racing between one place and another. The problem is you'll go for something comfort, something quick, and something convenient. So these are some of the more important types of foods here. You have your veg, your fruit, your meat and fish, your nuts and seeds, eggs, dairy, healthy starches, beans and legumes. Okay, but one of the major things here, and I just wanted to harper in on it, is the herbs and spices. If we can remove some of the stuff like the salts, because in Ireland we have a tendency to salt everything. Everything goes on and there's loads of salt going in, and I was guilty of it in the past. I'm just going to show you something here, if I may, for a second. Dick, you might aid me in this. It's like a Paul Daniels magic show here. You got that?
Yeah. So hopefully you can see us.
There's no beer in these. Okay, so that's three pints of water. Okay, so if we just look at that, one teaspoon, just 1 teaspoon of that of this table salt, just 1 teaspoon, is equivalent to 3 pints of water in your body. So the minute you add that to your system, it pulls all of that water back in. Okay, now that's just a visual, just so you get an idea of what happens to your system. So with foods that already have salts and natural salts in them, you're adding extra salt to your system. Now, when your body is burning it off, it needs it at a certain time when you're active and so on. So salt is not the enemy, but excess and abuse of it is. So it affects your kidneys, it affects your lungs, your heart, and it increases all the blood pressure, it rises and so on and so forth. So just be cute about how you're operating with certain things. Herbs and spices, you can put them in. They're more of a natural ingredient, and they can add great flavor to your foods.
Yeah, the 80-20 rule is something that, you know, when I first learned about this, I was probably a number of years ago. If you saw the before and after pictures of me, I was definitely doing 80% bad and 20% good. And it was very obvious on every part of my body. You could see that I was actually eating 80% bad and 20% good. But not just, you know, in my body, but mentally I wasn't feeling good either. And it's fascinating when you actually flip it around and switch it around to actually eating 80% good and then having your own treats here and there, which, you know, we all do, I'm sure. And I know for me, I definitely do anyway. But what I do is I'm very aware, and it's all about awareness. And hopefully this webinar will help you create more awareness around what it is you're actually doing. Even that salt example that Jason just shared with you there is very, very powerful. If you can just even apply something like that. So the 80-20 rule, there's many ways to look at it. And it's just being aware of what is it you're eating 80% of the time and putting into your body.
Yeah, Owen, if you don't mind putting up the last poll there, I think it's kind of appropriate at this time.
Sure, just hold on 1 second. Sorry, I was still sharing the last one. I should have removed that one. This is, yeah. I'd be curious to see what the response are to this one. You might tell people what we're looking at.
So what do you find the hardest when dieting? So choose one or more below. Is it time? Is it cooking? Is it you've got a sweet tooth like myself? Or is it the environment? Which out of those four would you find, the hardest when it comes to dieting?
You can choose them all if you like.
Interesting. It's quite spread. Although there are a lot of sweet tooths out there. Hold on a second, I share the result.
Yeah,
okay.
Sweet tooth, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, sweet tooth, yeah. Let me see time.
So time is 35%, just in case people can't see this, time is 35%, cooking is 31%, sweet tooth is 58%, and in the environment, family, friends, events is 38%.
Okay, interesting. Generally, when we work with clients, a lot of the time it comes down to time and possibly the environment. But it's interesting that sweet tooth is at 58%. I suppose it is something that I'm guilty of myself, and hence the reason I wrote the ebook on healthy treats for the sweet tooth. Which Declan said, obviously, at the end, we'll give that away to you and we'll show you how to get it and access it. So there's a load of lovely recipes in that. The 80%, the 20% rule, the 80-20 rule is something we kind of apply to a lot of things, but this is very significant to food and how you spend your time. So you can utilize it if you wanted to use it for the week. So you have Monday to Friday, you're really good. And on Saturday and Sunday, you have a little bit of a treat for yourself. And you just restart your process again. It allows you to create a lovely little balance in your life that's more way towards the good rather than the bad. Like Declan pointed out there, sometimes it can be reversed. And we're very quick, and time is a big issue, that we're quick because we want to get something fast, quick, easy, and into the microwave or whatever it is, and we can just operate as fast as possible and have it done. Unfortunately, that can be detrimental. The problem with a lot of stuff in Ireland is it's called habitual eating. So you go to the cinema, you'll go in there, you'll get some nacho, you'll add some cheese on top of it, there might be jalapenos, or some minstrels or Maltesers or whatever it is. You'll have some Coke, M&Ms, whatever it is you're into. And before you know it, you've a couple of thousand calories straight away, maybe 2,000 calories there, 2,500, give or take. You come back out and you go, God, I'm still hungry. And you go straight across the road into McDonald's and you get a Happy Meal or whatever it is you're into, your cheeseburger or whatever it is, Big Mac. And basically you end up doubling up again. So in the space of an hour, you have quadrupled the amount of calories you've taken in, and all you've done is spent your time sitting down. Likewise, you sit down on a Saturday evening there, you'll have, or whatever it is, after a hard day's work, you crack open a glass of wine, and before you know it, you say, do you know what? I'll have some pizza, and then it just turns into a real mess. So it's just being cute about, if you put something in front of you, and if it's a temptation, then you need to really remove that. You need to stop yourself from being in front of those kind of things. So, right.
And keeping it balanced, optimal health goes way beyond just nutrition. And I think it's a very, very important slide, because exercise, getting good sleep, and stress management is very, very important, because sometimes we become, and I know this for me for sure, you become emotional eaters. I know I was an emotional eater for sure. Whatever might be going on, if something might happen, or I had a bad call, or I had an argument with my mother or a family member, I'd go for a bar of chocolate and I'd have to get a big pack of hunky Dore Taters. I just can clearly see it, or a big box of Ferrero Rochers. Yeah, I was known for it. And it wasn't again until my awareness kicked in and I realized what I was doing, because I was just, I was suppressing what might have been going on for me through chocolate, through Taters, through eating, junk food. And, it's just having that awareness, and moving the body, I find, is very, very powerful. If you can just move your body every day some bit. Like I have a routine, a daily routine. Every morning I get up and I do my breathing exercises. I stretch my body. It could be just for 5-10 minutes. And that helps to recharge and reboot my body. And, getting good sleep, that's a whole other conversation we could talk about all day, just on the sleep process. And then, once you look after those two, the exercise and the sleep, the food and nutrition, the stress, it just seems to be very more easily managed when you look after that side of things.
Yeah, I think about it this way. Fast food, slow debt. That's really what you need to think about. It's a fast food, slow debt. Whereas nature's food, such as whole foods, and we spoke about earlier on, that's your true fast food. That goes in, does its job, and goes out. That's exactly what it needs to do. You've got your relationship with food, like Declan spoke about there. We have a connection to food. And I suppose, whether you realize it or not, you will associate food with certain things, certain places, certain people. And in times of crisis, and especially stress, like Declan referred to there, it's possible when he was younger and his mom needed to comfort him or whatever like that, something was given, like a cookie or whatever it was.
Bowl of custard.
Bowl of custard. Very Irish. Bowl of custard. Very good. But those kind of things, then you'll associate it, and what you go naturally, you'll find yourself going towards that. It may not be available to you, but you get the closest thing to you to satisfy that need. And then you feel crap, your body feels responsive to it. And next thing is you start to feel it, and so on. Sleep is a huge factor. Again, it's one of the major ones that needs to be incorporated into what we do, because if we don't take into account something that we do and we do for free, it doesn't cost us anything. And to do it right, it's where all the repair, all the recovery, all the rest, all those processes that you're not doing during the day happens at night. And this is where your whole circadian cycle takes place. So we're supposed to be awake during the day and asleep at night. It doesn't always work out that way, but you need to adapt it to the whole system so that your body and the enzymes and all the processes in your system can actually process it correctly. So we'll move on. So minimizing stress is also crucial. Long-term stress is linked to many health problems. Right, so here's the tips, tips and tricks. So I suppose you can see there on the left of the screen, the lunch is prepared. So it's plan, prepare, and execute. I can't emphasize enough how easy it is to do this. And you can cook in bulk. You can throw a potload of chicken if that's what you're into, a potload of veg, whatever it is your guilty pleasure is. You throw that into a pot. You go in, you sit down, and you watch one of your favorite series there, half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever it is you're cooking. And you come back out, you take it out, you drain it off, and you put it into containers, and you put it in the fridge or freezer for the week. If you do it correctly, you can have a load of food cooked off, and you take it out the night before, leave it there, and you can have it ready for yourself, and you take it to work in the morning.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a really, really big one. And the second one is empty the cupboards. I know for me, this is a must, because if there's any chocolate or anything in the cupboards, it talks to me. It just literally talks to me, and it wants me to go and nurture my body through the Ferrero Rochers or through the M&Ms, whatever it might be. But I am very, very aware now of the fact that if I have loads of stuff left there, it's going to be eaten. So I minimize the amount of stuff that I have in the cupboard, and then I'd be very, very, I'd just replace it with something better and something healthier. And again, it's the acid-alkaline balance as well. It's trying to eat more alkaline-based foods than acid-based foods. So that's something that's very, very important. And if you aren't aware of that, it's something worth looking into, and it's also something that we're going to gift you here at the end. We're going to give you a lovely acid-alkaline chart, so you can see what's alkaline foods and what's acid foods, and what you should be putting into your body.
Yeah, and again, just a very simple one, recruit the family members. Just let them know what you're doing and try and get support from them. They don't have to chair it and do it with you, because not everyone's going to jump on board with you. But certainly if you can kind of express why you're doing it and for what reasons you're doing it, and how it means to you then, and you know, and how you're feeling inside, rather.
That's huge.
You really need to let them know.
That's massive. And that's something that I learned from Jason. I see it with his own family. Like when he actually does something, the whole family know what he's doing, and they're aware of it, and they respect it. And I started to do that with my own family, and it's amazing the difference when you just share with somebody in your close network what you're trying to do. They'll come in behind you. Normally they'll come in behind you, or they won't push you over the edge and actually give you something that you shouldn't.
Yeah, it's a lovely natural domino effect, and it affects all the environment and family and friends around you as well. So it's a lovely effect. Okay, so the 21-day rule, this is applied to many things in life. The whole process is to basically try and create a habit. You're not trying to break old ones as such, we're trying to create new ones. So if you can create a new habit, the old ones start to whittle away. and the new ones then will start to replace them eventually. So if you can think of it that way, let's create a new habit. So it takes about 21 days for your body to kind of get into that consistency. I've been doing this now for 3 weeks, give or take. On the 4th week, you can allow yourself a little bit of a cheat. Now, it's usually a cheat meal, not a cheat day. Because a lot of people will say, oh, I had a great cheat day today. Well, try and contain yourself and hold yourself back, because you've done so well and you're still on the cusp of just getting things right, because it's anything up to 61 or 62 days, I think is the exact number, give or take, where the actual habit becomes permanent. And that's what they've proven. So you need to do that. And we talked about the salt.
The salt is something definitely worth looking into. And just being, again, I know I keep saying it, but it's awareness, being aware of how much salt you're actually putting on stuff. I know back in the day when I think of my dad, like he'd have stuff and he would just be shaking loads of salt and stuff. And that fell down on top of me. So I actually loved my salt. But again, when I started to learn more about this, I reduced my salt intake, and maybe only a tiny bit. Sometimes I actually don't put salt at all. Or what I do now is I put the herbs like turmeric or curcumin or any of these spices in the food as well. It actually makes it way tastier.
Yeah, so portion control is a huge part of this, obviously. We are, okay, a classic example, you go into a restaurant or cafe or whatever it is and you ask for chicken Caesar. You say, well, I'm going to eat healthy today, I have a chicken Caesar salad. You go in and you get it served up to you and you look at it and you're trying to find the lettuce because it's soaked in all of this mayo and all sorts of things. Now, if there was hardly anything on it, first thing in your brain would be, God, they're very mean in here. And probably second thing is the person serving you go, oh, I have to give a little bit more because it looks very kind of flimsy. To be honest with you, you should be able to make your own decisions about what you have on your plate. So I always go into a restaurant and I always say, can I have the sauce on the side, please? And there's no problem. They're happy to throw it in there. They don't have to throw it over your food. And it just means that you leave a little bit of sauce or whatever left inside in that and be conscious of it. Leave some small bit of sauce in that container. And you wouldn't believe, you could probably get to the point where you actually don't need to be using the sauce as much anymore. So that's kind of a little trick. It's kind of replacing other things. You start to move away from stuff, and you start to move away from like the sugars, you start to move away from the salts, the additives in the foods. You just be conscious of that, all the labels. Just be very, very cute. And another thing is, if you just give yourself a few minutes, so you just get a plate, and you just make sure that that plate, the normal plate you have, kind of reduce the size of the plate and make it smaller. And then you eat and you say, God, I'm kind of a little bit hungry. Get up and move away from it and come back. And 9 times out of 10, if you drink, you're probably dehydrated rather than actually hungry. So just keep that in mind too.
And the last one, tailor your diet to your goals. So always ask yourself, what is your goals? What is your nutrition goals? What's your fitness goals? All these things, because once you actually set yourself a goal or set yourself a target, you'll generally stick to it. And that's something that I've been doing now for a long, long time, is I'll always set myself targets and goals, whatever it might be. But now I'm doing it when it comes to my nutrition and my food. It's like, what is my goal here? And normally it's now, my first goal is I want to nurture my body. I want to put some good nutrition into my body. So I flick that switch and I acknowledge that that's what I want to do. So the minute you do that for yourself, you actually set that goal, that target, and then you actually have something to aim for. Yeah,
just conscious of time here. So we're trying to fly through these, but there's so much depth that we need to get into, unfortunately. Maybe something we can do further on down the line and do a proper one where we really get into the diet, really get into the whole nutritional values, importance of the likes of the vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. So yeah, Declan hit the nail on the head there. Again, calories in versus calories out. That's essentially what it comes down to. You can look at all the diets, you can watch your macros, you can look at your carbs, fats and protein contents. You can look at all of those things, but at the end of the day, if you're not expelling it, it's the actual opposite to a bank account. You're trying to empty it, not store it. Just think of it that way. And hydration, so important, so important.
Yeah, like water's key.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Do you want to talk about water there?
Yeah, just
I've been talking enough.
30 seconds. Water is very, very important, and it should be something that you really start looking into, and it's something you should try and get into your body first thing in the morning before you get a coffee hit or caffeine hit or whatever hit you get. Get some water into your body. It's something I have researched for years and years. I've even gone as far as flying over to Japan, to the healthiest island just off Japan called Okinawa. Learned the Okinawa lifestyle, but I learned that it's all about getting good quality water into your body. In particular, I'm big into alkaline, ionized, restructured water, and that's something that I drink every single day, and I know Jason is the same. So it's important to get good water into your body, because that really does help nourish the cells and everything in the body, really, especially the brain too.
And going back to it, most of us walk around on a daily basis dehydrated and not aware of it. Thirst is not an indicator. You need to constantly drink, and most men will need to drink anything up to 2.5, 3 litres, and women 2 to 2.5 litres a day. So just keep that in mind. Yeah. And when we start off in life, we've about 90 to 95% of water in our system as a child. By the time we get to older age, we've literally dried out. I think we're about 60%. Yeah. No, it's even less. I think it's 50%. We're at that. So we literally almost dehydrated our internal organs.
So that's that's it. But what we're going to do for you is we've got really 2 brilliant documents we're going to give you. The first one, which is incredible, which goes into the depth, which is Healthy Treats for the Sweet Tooth, which is what Jason has written. And it's got incredible ingredients and recipes and everything inside that to basically anyone who has a sweet tooth, like I found this ebook an absolute gift.
Yeah, so the ebook is generally based on cooking with vegetables. So all the images you see there, it's all vegetable. So if you have trouble getting your veg in, or you're not a fan of it, but at the same time you want something a bit of a treat, then this is the way to go. We'll give you a login to our website if you want to go into our website. 1 second there now. I'm going to see if I can go and bring it up. Might be just as easy to go into it, I'd say.
Yeah, if you go into KV Corporate Wellness, we put together a thing where you can just go into that and you go into the login section. And when you go into the login section, you just put in your details, which is, Jason will share with you what it is now.
There we go. And just for 2 seconds there, just to talk you through it.
And you'll automatically get the ebook, and you'll get the acid alkaline chart that will show you what are alkaline foods and what are acid foods and what's good to eat and what's not good to eat.
Yeah, so just you can see the website here, you log in, and just up to the top of the screen there, just click on login. And just in this area, just type in all capitals, just make sure caps is on, ICBE Nutrition.
So ICBE Nutrition, all capitals. So that's all you need to do, and then you get access.
So it brings this area here, just fill in your name, just a little bit about yourself, just what you thought of the workshop. Click in it, and it'll bring you straight into our page then. So that's basically it for us today. I'm sure there's a few questions.
Great, Declan and Jason, thank you very much. So first up is, how do you counter the psychology of feeling we deserve a treat or comfort food to offset the negative feelings during the lockdown?
Say that again, sorry.
But no problem, I'll call that again. How do you counteract the psychology of feeling we deserve a treat or comfort food to offset negative feelings during the lockdown?
Yeah, so I suppose the biggest issue with the lockdown was it was a shock to the system straight away, and people automatically needed to do it. I think what you need to do is go back to that 80-20% rule and say to yourself, okay, well, I'm going to allow myself something. Never deny yourself anything. If you start denying yourself something, then you're automatically going to crave it more and more and more and more. What you do is, what I normally do is go and I'll grab a glass of water and I'll drink a glass of water. If I want to have something, I'll actually have it. I have it. I've done it, I get it out of my system. And then I'll go and I'll start cooking something that's, or if I have something already prepared, I'll start eating that. And that's how I normally offset it. If I sit on the ground, I sit down and I don't plan or I don't do something, then I'm in big trouble. I would fall into that rut where I start to eat and comfort eat, and the stress kind of takes over. So in terms of COVID-19, I had to give myself a little bit of a helmet readjustment. Okay, you've got this. Eat, if you want to eat something nice, have something nice. Take a step back, try and get your exercise. We all can move. We can move around the house. You can jumping jacks in the one spot, running on the spot. You can do all sorts of things just to move and have a bit of exercise. you have a stationary bike, a treadmill, whatever it is you're doing, you have all those kind of things. But then the most important thing is when you do that, you'll find that you'll go to eat a little bit healthier. You'll go and grab something. And the last thing you want to do is be putting on weight when you're in lockdown, and which a lot of people have come and asked me, going, oh, I think I'm eating way too much.
Great. Could you tell us a little bit about or your thoughts on the signs that your body gives you? Okay, so, the obvious signs in terms of if you eat too much, you put on weight, but other signs that your body kind of gives you in terms of cravings and things you should look out for, triggers that your body is telling you something.
Yeah, I mean, your body will tell you in many different ways, and it's like anything else. The mind is the biggest issue we have. It can be a benefit to us or can be a distraction. So the thing is, I find myself personally is that when I start to eat certain things, I find that because of the addictiveness in certain foods, and going back to the whole studies, the MRI, I mean, when you think about it, cocaine was freely available back in the 1800s and in the turn of this century, and they only took it out. They were giving it to kids in cough bottles, and they were doing all sorts of things. So there's a certain element of addiction. So in order for you to kind of move yourself from that, you need to remove those things. If you feel yourself going towards it, it could be a case that there's something else off. If you feel you have, like, we all get cravings for some things at times, something random, you might decide to have a craving for that you haven't had a craving for regularly or in a long time. And you'll get this craving, and often more than not, you'll find the body is lacking in, could be anything from sulfur, could be magnesium, it could be calcium, it could be any of the minerals that your body are lacking in, maybe the fact that you're not hydrating enough, and your skin will start to show it, you'll start to see it in your hair, you'll start to feel tired, your energy levels will drop, your sleep will be affected, your mood gets affected, and these are all signs that you're starting to change. Everything is starting to happen. Obviously, you're going to see it on the scales, you're going to see it in your body fat percentage, you're going to see it in the mirror, and you're going to feel it in your clothes. And these are all areas, and your body will start to pull in water and hold it. Along then with that comes all the fat, starts to pull and hold the fat as well, so you don't mobilize it as fast.
Right, we have time for one or two more quick questions if people want to put it into chat, but another quick one. Should we expect, if we're changing our diet, should we expect withdrawal symptoms, especially you've spoken about it being an addiction, and what does that look like and how should we cope with it?
A big one is headaches.
Yeah.
Big time when it comes to that will be headaches.
Yeah. We've I've done it in the past with clients where we actually prepared meals for them, and one of the biggest issues was for them, and it usually lasts about 2 to 3 days. But the longest we've had was 7 days, I think. And sleeplessness came into it.
Frustration, anger,
mood changed.
Oh yeah.
But they came back to me going, this diet is terrible, it doesn't work. And I said, well, hold on. We've removed the crisps, we've removed the Coca-Cola, we've removed the fries, we've removed everything else. All you're eating is veg, you're eating fruit, you're eating all the healthy, nutritious stuff from whatever meats and things they're into. They're drinking lots of water. So I said, what do you think is happening? Your body is now detoxing. And it's telling you, hey, what the hell is happening here? I don't like the look of this. And that brings us to the whole part of gut health and what is happening in our microbiome. And the biome, and they've discovered now so much more about this, that this is actually communicating with the brain. And they were saying it was your second brain. They're actually saying this is possibly the first stages of it. It's not just your brain you're craving it, but it's actually your gut starts craving it. And what happens is, if you can see this, I suppose the easiest way to visualize it is, imagine you have a garden. So you have a garden that's for French fries and burgers and whatever it is, and you have a garden for fruit, and you have a garden for veg, you have a garden for meat. Anyway, I think you get the picture. So the more of those gardens I feed, if I keep feeding the sweets and the fries and all these, I keep feeding those, it starts to overgrow into all the others. So that communicates with your brain and it starts to, your craving, it starts to activate it. So this is what is happening. There's a two-way communication all the time. So that gut feeling, that gut is really important.
Oh, brilliant. And one last one, because we've already delayed people a little bit more, but this area is so fascinating. And it's my question, which is dried berries. So I've tried to move from eating chocolate and start eating dried berries instead, but is it a good replacement, or are they just dehydrated using sugar and should be avoided?
Yeah, you know what? There's a place for everything. Dry berries are fine. You have to ask yourself that question the whole time. Is it comparing it to sweets or eating dry berries? Which one would you eat first? The problem with the body is it doesn't understand the difference between sucralose, fructose, glucose. It doesn't understand the difference in the sugars. When it goes into your system, it's still converted. Your body still uses that for energy. It goes into the mitochondria of the cells, into the ATP, which is all your powerhouse, your cells. What happens is your body doesn't understand. What happens is it's the elements associated with the fruits. So you look at the likes of a tomato, for example. A tomato has 3 or 4 known ingredients in it that they can tell you, the beta carotene, the vitamin C, and so on and so forth. They know it's in it. But the thing is, the scientists have identified 40,000 different phytochemicals or phytonutrients, which they don't know what it does. They just know it's good for you, but they don't know what it does. To try and replicate that in processed food like canned food and so on and so forth, or anything that's kind of fake out of a can, basically you can't replicate that. So go back to eating berries, it's fine, absolutely fine. I wouldn't have an issue with it. What I would say to you is definitely don't be eating it closer to bedtime or in the evening time, because that's a natural little high, a natural rise in a spike in your glucose, and you want to regulate your glucose level across the board. You don't want any spikes or drops.
Just eat your celery sticks before you go to bed, on.
Of course, and my hummus.
Yeah.
I wish I could say that I was that I was so virtuous, but I can't. So, Declan and Jason, thanks very much for those insights. They've been fascinating, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people running to download the ebook. It's no further questions. I just don't delay people from getting the march on the day. Just one comment that kind of stuck with me in particular, that we're moving to a generation where perhaps we will outlive our children because of what we're feeding into them. So if we're not doing it for ourselves, that might be another reason to do it. Next week's topic is mindfulness, and the videos and slides from today will be uploaded to the ICB website later on, and we share the details about how to log on and get those ebooks, just in case you didn't get it. And finally, to everyone who attended this morning, thank you very much. Thanks very much to Jason and Declan, and look forward to seeing you next Monday at 10 o'clock.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
All the best.
Thanks. Bye.